Hi, this is Sharon from Crafty and Creative Ideas.blogspot.com. I'm here today to bring you one of my Wow That's Cool video series classes. This is going to be a stationery box, homemade cardstock using the Garden and Bloom stamp set, and we're going to be making 4 cards, identical cards, 4 envelopes with custom liner inserts. I hope you can join us for all of the parts to this project. The first video basic, and I'm going to show you how to actually use this stamp set because it's a three different layers, and they can be a little confusing to understand how to use the first time if you've never done one before. So let's get going. I'm going to show you how to make this Garden and Bloom stamps come to life. The first thing I think you want to do for yourself, because it's confusing because there's so many pieces, is you want to make a copy. This is what I did for myself. Make a copy of the front of this. Okay, then you can go ahead and draw boxes around the pieces that go for the flower, the pieces that go for the bee, for the small flower, the leaves, etc., etc. That way when you're searching for them in your stamps, you know what the shapes look like and everything, and you're not grabbing the wrong one. Secondly, the way that this actually works is, let's take a look at the flower. We have an outline, and then we have a filler, and then we have something that's going to throw a lot of little accents and shadowing into, although this does too, but my general rule, that the way I found that I work with these the best, is I like to do my outline first. Okay, and then I go back and I stamp. When I do this one, I usually stamp off on the paper and then stamp onto the image, and then this I do full ink strength. So that's pretty much the process that I take. Now if you look at these stamp sets, this is the outline of the main flower, and you can see that they have a little teeny arrow. That arrow, so if you line these up on the block, and I'm going to grab a block here, I have everything lined up on my blocks already. If you look at the block, you can see the arrow here. Because of the way I started to put the first one on the block, now I've got them all pointing this way, which is fine. This works for me. But whatever way you point your arrow is the way you're going to want to point all those flowers in the next series, each different layer, so you can line those up. But I've got them kind of about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that. So that's the part that you're looking for, so that when you line up the block, so now when I line up my next block, which is the second flower at the filler, I'm going to line it up the same way on the block. Okay, because what's going to happen, here's your first layer. Okay, and we have the little arrow mark here. So if I have that arrow, and now I'm going to take the next stamp set, you can see that if I line this up on this way on top of it. Okay, so once we stamp, this image is going to be right inside the other image the way it's supposed to. And then the same thing is going to happen when you take the other part of the flower and you put this and you line it up the same way. The arrow does is help you so that you know you might be just a hair off, a twist this way, that way, but that flower petal that you're looking for is going to be right there. It's not like you're going to be turning that stamp all different ways to try to figure out which way you're going. You already know that your arrow is pointing a certain direction, so that block is going to be perfect. You just have to straighten it out to be onto the other flower. So I'm going to show you, I've got some scrap here, and we're going to just take a little bit of this and show you what to do with it, okay? I like to start out with my outline with Memento black ink. I'm going to see if I can leave this out so you can see these. Well, I'll just keep picking it up. It's no biggie. Okay, we're going to start out with the large flower on the outline. So what I'm taking on an outline is going to be this, and that's going to be step 1, the filler, and then the accents. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's the first one. So we're going to stamp this with some Memento. And I'm just going to throw a flower like right here. And then I'm going to stamp another one right off the paper. I absolutely love the 3-step stamping. I just love it. I wanted to do, because we have the Memento black out, I'm going to just do all of my outlines at one time. So I'm going to do my flower. I'm just going to do 2 little flowers here. I'm going to take a couple leaves. So now I'm going to work with the bigger leaf. So, and once again, let me pull the leaf out and show you that is going to have a point on it. So now I'm going to line that leaf up, and then I remember which way the point is pointing. So then when I go to take the second layer down the road here, everything's going to line up. So, but for right now, I'm just going to take these leaves and I'm going to ink those up. And I'm going to throw a leaf, let's say here, and let's just say we put another leaf. I'm just going to throw one down there, and let's throw one up here. Okay. Okay, now I think we're going to take just the outline of the small little flower. So let me grab that, and you can see again we have an arrow again. So we just line it up the way we want it on the block so we remember which direction. And I'm just going to put a couple of these on there. Let's just do here, here. Let's do it triple. And then we'll go down here. Okay. And now we're going to take the outline of the small leaf. So here's our small leaf. Once again, we have an arrow pointing out. So we're just going to take that arrow. I just want to make sure I don't get the rest of the stamps. These triple stamping are actually so much fun once you get going with it. I love them. We're going to stamp one there. Come down, put one on this little petal. And I think that's about it. And I just had ink on my finger, so now I've got ink all over my card. But anyways, this is not a good card anyways. It's just a demo. Now I'm going to take our little honeybee right here, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, he's just going to point the direction that you want him to point in. And I'm just going to throw a bee. Let's just put him right there. Okay, so I think that's enough outlining. I think you're going to get the gist of how this works once we get moving on this. Okay, now we're going to take our center flower, and we want step number 2. We're going to work on all the numbers. Step number 2 is going to be working this, 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 and that, and the little bee. So number 2 on the flower, we're grabbing this one for a filler, and I'm just going to take, just for this demo, we're going to take Blushing Bride. Now for the second layer, so now I look and here's my little piece, so I'm going to point that the same direction I had before, and this should, so this I'm talking about, you could just have to twist a tiny bit, but if this wasn't marked you would be like turning this all over the place, not knowing which way the petals are going to go the right way. I like to take on my second layer, ink up, and I like to stamp off first and then go into my flower. Same thing, stamp off and go into my flower. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's running out or whatever, because the watercolor is supposed to look like that. Here's the second layer of the blue flower. So we're going to stamp that, and we're going to stamp off. Okay, and then we're going to turn around and do the third layer on that while I have that ink out. So here's the third layer. And here's the matching stamp with the arrow. So we're going to take that arrow, go right inside the flower, and I remember my direction was trending this way, and we want full strength ink on that one. Beautiful. Now we're going to fill in the little center of the bee. So I have So Saffron on my desk, and that's what, because that's what I'm going to be using on the other cards. But so I'm just going to use that. So we're going to take that, and I did that full strength. Now we're going to be doing the second and the third steps of the larger leaf. Here's your second step. Once again, your arrow. And once again, I'm going to stamp off, stamp on. And if there's white space, that's nice because that gives it some character. And for the third one, it looks like this, and there's your arrow. That's not a leaf. And we want to go full strength on that. Okay. And now for our tiny little teeny leaf, we've already got the outline. All we need to do is to put the inside in it. And I do that one full strength. Now if you were using this as a card base right now, although this is quite sloppy because I've got ink marks all over it, but I guess I could go back in and make a little flower or something if I wanted to reuse this and cover up my fingerprints. But with a little bee, what I like to do is take a little trail with my marker pen and just make him look like he's buzzing around there. Okay, so that's the basics on how to work the Garden and Bloom stamp set. But now if you want to stay tuned into the next video, the next video is going to be, we're going to work on making this beautiful cardstock. So, stay tuned for all the videos. I hope you enjoy the Garden and Bloom. It's one of my favorite stamps. I love it. Tons of fun to work with, and I think you're going to enjoy it too. So until next time, God bless.